thought we'd be smarter.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and honestly this one, it all started because I wanted to use those new modern windows that came with growing together. And then this happened. So this kind of became this like industrial boho desert oasis kind of build, but honestly I think it's so pretty. And I was also inspired by my family had taken a vacation to a cabin. Actually, we've gone to this cabin a couple of times, but it has like a whole wall of like double height windows, and there's this like loft area above the living room that's like this little seating space, and you can like see out, and it's like gorgeous. And they had these like hanging chairs that you could just go and sit there. And so I actually wanted to bring some of that in here as well. So this actually became this like really cool lofted space, and it is only a 1 bedroom 1 bathroom, which is so insane. I honestly didn't expect it to be this big. This happens to me all the time, and I feel like I've talked about this a lot, but I start building and then I don't realize how big I am actually making the build, and then all of a sudden I have to furnish and decorate a build that is gigantic. But I think this came out really cool. I did use kind of a mix of items. I did use a lot of new items from Going Together. I can't help myself. It's a new pack, new items. I mean, I just want to use them. And honestly, when I was doing the like exterior of the house, I spent a lot of time kind of experimenting with what I really wanted. Like I said, I really only went in with this idea that I wanted this big wall of beautiful double height windows. Like that was basically it. That's what I went in with. And so I also picked this lot because it had such a beautiful view. Now, of course, like the cabin I went to, it was like a mountain view. This is like a desert view, but I think it's like really cool here on this lot. And I tried to like utilize these windows to where the patterns kind of make sense. I think I updated it to do 2 medium wall height walls, but I was really kind of all over the place and trying to decide like what color I wanted. Originally, I thought maybe I would want to use like some brown tones, but I end up using actually a lot of black here. And it's funny, I was doing this and there's a lot of black and white, and then when I got to like the backyard, so I do the exterior first and then I move inside, and when I was doing the backyard space, I started bringing in some more warmer brown tones and some like reds and everything, and so then that kind of maybe changed the exterior just a little bit. And I honestly also don't want to admit how long it took me to choose doors for this home. I changed them several times. And I know that I like paused the recording at random places because I felt like I was taking too long to make decisions. So it may happen to where all of a sudden it's just going to pop over and it's going to have a different door or a different window, because honestly, like I said, it took me a long time to make some of these decisions. But I wanted to have these beautiful glass windows, and I don't know why I just said glass windows, because windows are glass. Anyways, we're just going to ignore that. But maybe it's just been a long day that I just calling a window a glass window. But anyways, these big windows, I wanted them everywhere. I really wanted you to have like beautiful views, and I feel like this could be used on so many lots. But like I said, I just had this like desert view in mind when I did this, and I tried to use some of the new like sightings we got with Growing Together, and I do end up using, I believe, this black siding, and then I had the stone as well to break it up a little bit, because all of the black, it was just a lot, and I think the stone brings a lot of warmth here. And then I ended up adding those stone columns also from Growing Together, and ended up making these like pergola kind of like awning things over all of the different like patios that you have going on here. And I think it ends up looking so pretty. I really did also like go back and forth about some of the vegetation as well, because I wanted it like to look like it's in the desert, but I still wanted it to look really lush and beautiful, if that makes sense. And so, I mean, I think I ended up using some little palm trees in the front yard, which I feel like, I'm not sure if that's really realistic, but I like the way they looked, so they're there, and I did use them. So forgive me if that's not exactly accurate, but I think it looks really pretty anyways. But otherwise I tried to keep like the vegetation like to a minimum. So some of my other houses, I feel like I do a ton and like tons of flowers and everything. So this, I really used more like cacti and like just small plants instead. And I don't know what it was about these trees that just looked so pretty here. And I was tempted to use like a tall palm tree there, but it looked a little too off to me. But I mean, I think it still would have looked good, but you can see I'm trying like every plant possible. I even like went into like debug looking for trees and stuff. And honestly, that is my biggest tip if you're doing landscaping, is to go into debug, because I feel like it gives you access to so many more plants. And also even like our normal plants but in like different swatches, so that's also really nice. And of course, like if you're doing a budget build, that's also nice too, because a lot of the stuff in debug is, zero simoleons. A lot of it is, not everything, but if you're trying to do a budget build, that's also a good idea. But I wasn't really concerned about cost. I just really wanted basically more options. I wanted all of the options I could possibly have. And of course you can see I'm using like so many different types of fences because I hadn't changed it yet. And then I use this fence back here, but I end up, I think, I do change all the fences over to that like glass, which I think looked really nice. And I was trying to do some like weird thing with the pool, but I do like the way the pool does come out, but my original idea just like wasn't working out. And then I do this like sunken like living space too, which I think was really cute and really fun. And like I said, this is a 1-bedroom, so I'm thinking like either 1 or 2 Sims, but to be totally honest, you really could renovate it and add more Sims into here for sure, like no questions asked, like you definitely could. But I just feel like this is like a 1 or 2 Sims that are just like living their best life here, and I just love the way it turned out. I think we end up having a fireplace out in the back and like a seating area and all that kind of good stuff. I believe I put a grill out there as well. And also, if you want to see kind of some of the instructions on how to make one of these little pergolas you see that I'm making over the pool here, I do have a short that covers that, so be sure to check that out if you've ever wondered how to build that. I like go over the instructions in that short, because I also feel like, sometimes I watch speed builds and I'm like, oh, how did somebody do that? And I have to like slow it down so it's really slow and try to figure out exactly what they did. And so anyways, I just thought I'd tell you that there is a short on my channel that will actually like show you how to do it in case you ever wanted to know that. And I added in these like waterfall panels on the back there, and I just wanted to make this really just this like lovely oasis, like this really nice getaway. And like you could even maybe use it as a vacation home, like that could also be really fun. And I wish we could actually own multiple homes in The Sims 4. I'm pretty sure you can't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I build so much that like I don't think that's a thing, but let me know if it is, and I just like totally have no idea. But anyways, I just wanted this to be like a really cool view. And what I wanted to do too was make sure that you could still see through, like if you were in the house, you could still see out to the landscape in the back. So I didn't want to obstruct all of that with like more vegetation. So I kept the vegetation on the sides so you could still see the wonderful view. So that was kind of my whole like point of making this to begin with. And I also end up later on, and I think I cut it out, but that like slanted roof that is on that like foyer area, I do end up making it just flat because I ended up like messing with the windows and wanting to add some windows, and it like looked weird with the roof there. So I flattened it out and actually used some of the island living like ceiling window things, so you still get that look. You can still have that sun coming through, but it doesn't look like that exactly, but I think it still looks really cool in there. And then I did end up adding the little like bubble maker things in the pool because those are just so fun. I feel like ever since I discovered those, which wasn't that long ago, I feel like I always want to use them because I feel like it adds so much to the pool, if that makes sense. And also a reminder, if you do have get together, then you can actually change the like water swatch of the pool to this like really pretty color. And I do that a lot, but I just wanted to mention it in case you've ever wondered like why some of my pools don't look like base game, and that's because you can actually change the water color. And I will say that because I have the pergola over it, and I actually did put like rock facade on the sides of the pool and at the bottom. The coloring also looks a little bit different, but I think it also looks really nice in here. And at this point is actually, like I said, when I started bringing in some of those warm brown tones, and honestly, it was this rug. I feel like story of my life, this rug has now decided like what I'm going to decorate this build like. And honestly, it's so fun. It's that new rug that we got with Growing Together, and I love it so much. I feel like I'm going to use it. I feel like I have to get it out of my system and just go ahead and use like all of the Growing Together stuff, like a ton. But I end up using also the Desert Luxe kit out here because I felt like that just really kind of went together and kind of just creating this really nice like space for your Sims to hang out in. And I really actually like the way this came out. And I put some like lanterns in here. And I think those are from the Courtyard Oasis kit, I believe. I feel like I don't use that kit super often, so it's hard for me to remember, but I'm pretty sure that's where they come from. And I do use them, I feel like, a couple other times in the build because they have such pretty swatches and like the glass is like different colors and everything. So I just thought that was really lovely. So I do use that inside the home as well. And then just adding a little bit of stuff around here. Like I figured maybe some plates and like utensils, like stuff like that out here by the grill. And then I think I also put the like drink serving thing from Eco Lifestyle. I put that out here as well. And I think it kind of rounds out that space, and I feel like it would be really good for entertaining out here. And I fell in love with this backyard. I'm not going to lie. I really love how the backyard turned out. And honestly, also, I wanted to mention, while I was building, it kept doing this weird thing where it would like delete stuff. So like while I was working on the inside, I realized that some of the chairs and stuff, like the decorations I put out on the front and back porch, were deleted. And I was like, what? Like, why did you do that? So if you notice that, I do go back and replace them. So hopefully they do actually make it up onto the gallery. I haven't actually uploaded it onto the gallery yet because I still need to make sure like it's play tested and it all works out. And I'm not gonna lie, as usual, I had a hard time with the stairs. I feel like that's no surprise. If you've watched a lot of my speed builds, I feel like I cut a lot of that out a lot of times, or I'm just like, we're gonna sit here and watch this for a little while. But just so you know, I have a hard time with those. And I say that because I feel like sometimes, you know, when you watch these edited speed builds, it's easy to think that like, you know, people don't struggle with that, but trust me, I very much do. So I just thought I would point that out. And again, mind you, I like didn't record all of it. Like I didn't even like, I literally at this point I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And like, it's like, I want to put flooring down. And I was like, Rachel, you really need to deal with these stairs and figure this out. But we do figure it out, and I honestly love it so much. And it is not what I expected I would do, but I honestly, I messed around with it a lot. And you can see here now all of a sudden, like the stairs are in and like the kitchen space has been identified. I also cut out like a bunch of the kitchen that I did because I actually did this build in like 2 sessions. And the end of the first session, I was working on the kitchen and I had such a hard time with it. I don't know what it was. I just wasn't happy with it. Like I deleted it all back out, which is why there's randomly flooring there because I had it there to begin with. And then when I came back during my second session of building, I figured it out and I'm happy with it now. But I don't know, like, let me know if you've ever had that experience, if you've been building in The Sims and like, you're just like, I need to walk away because I just don't know right now. I feel like that happens to me a lot. I'm just like, I need to like come back to this because I just need a break. And so I came back to this and I've spent actually a long time on this. Like it like took a really long time to build this and I wasn't expecting it, like I said, because I was expecting for this to be smaller, but like I said, as always, I made it a lot bigger than I thought I was going to. But I ended up using those like wooden panels and put them like right next to the counters there to give it that really cool pattern. And I honestly kind of go back and forth all over this main living space, just trying to figure it out. And I will say, trying to figure out the lighting, especially in the kitchen, was really difficult. And it's because of that like lofted ceiling, stuff was a little bit weird. And I didn't want things just randomly suspended in the air, if that makes sense. But I also didn't want to like draw like a beam or anything to make it make sense because I felt like it just obstructed the view. Anyways, I think it worked out in the end. But I honestly like, I had to like pause the recording and work on that for a little while because I was like, like this isn't working. And also I will say too that along with some of the stuff outside, I randomly noticed that while I was, I guess, working downstairs here, a lot of the stuff in the kitchen was deleted. And I don't know why. It just did something really weird. I don't know if you've been building and that happens, like you draw a wall or you do something like that and all of a sudden the game just deletes stuff. So anyways, I tried to put everything back. I think I got it all back. And it's kind of funny now that I'm like watching it too, like hopefully when I go back and take screenshots and everything, because I haven't actually done that yet and place tested it, I'll remember and hopefully like we'll be able to place anything back that may have been missing. And I ended up like wanting to really use that collage of rugs there. And I mean, would you call it a collage of rugs? But that just like that grouping of rugs on the ground there. And I ended up in the dining room there. You can see I used that like red and gold kind of rug. I've never used that swatch before ever, but I think it looks so pretty in here. And like I said, the only reason there's even red in this build is because of the outside rug. But I think that's really nice because it actually forced me, I feel like, to use different items and kind of think outside the box a little bit more, because I was probably going to lean into that like black and white kind of gray aesthetic that I feel like I really like to do. And so this helped push me to do something a little bit different, which I really appreciated. But I did also have a hard time doing these like warm like wood tones because finding ones that looked good together was difficult, because if you've been building in The Sims, you know that there's not very many swatches that will actually match each other. So then trying to find woods that actually look good together without looking like looking weird, I guess, is quite the task. So I ended up like I think it worked out really well here, and I'm actually really happy with this. I actually took I paused my recording a lot to actually like go into tab mode and actually like look as if you were a sim, because I really wanted this to have a really cool aesthetic inside, like with the loft and everything. Like that was kind of my main goal when I was building this, is for this to be just like a really cool build on the inside. And I think it looks good on the outside too, but that loft was just really like kind of what I was imagining for this space. And like I said, it's huge. This is very big. You can most certainly, you know, break up the bedroom we're like going to go into soon. You can definitely break that up and use 2 bedrooms there. You can definitely change this around and have more Sims in it if you would like to. And as always, I invite you to do so. You can find this under my ID Spice and Sprinkles. Once this goes up, this will be on the gallery. I know I just said it's not on the gallery yet, but as of the time of recording. But once you're actually watching it, it will be up there, and you can download it and do whatever you want with it, of course, and play with it however you see fit. Even if you got it and just want to use the outside of it, please feel free to do so. And also let me know either in the comments or like, you know, on Instagram or Twitter or something. Let me know if you use my build, because I would love to hear how you use it and like the families you use this in. Like that would be so exciting. Or screenshots of your Sims in the builds. Like, I mean, that's just so exciting to me, which is part of why I try to actually use Sims in my screenshots, because I feel like it just brings so much life to a build to actually see your Sims in it. But I've honestly been like struggling lately with that, and I feel like that's why I haven't had as many speed builds going out, is because it just takes a lot of time to do that. I mean, you can imagine like trying to get Sims to do what you want them to do is very difficult and very time consuming. So I don't know. I've been going back and forth about maybe not using Sims quite as often in my speed builds, like in the screenshots and stuff, and just kind of doing it when, I don't know, I feel like I really want to. But let me know in the comments, like, how do you feel about it? Would you miss me not using the Sims in my screenshots? Like, I'd be curious to know. Because obviously if that's something that y'all like really like and come to my videos for, then I will continue doing it. But anyways, I would love for you to like weigh in and let me know before I just like not use them anymore. But, or if you don't have an opinion, let me know, because that works too. I just like hearing from you all. And anyways, like I feel like I talked over so much of this living room. And I also too, during the first session of building, I was struggling a lot with wallpaper and how to actually like do the walls in this space because of that double height. Because with like the molding that sometimes is on the wallpaper and stuff like that, stuff will look weird. And so that was a whole thing, which is also why I had to like walk away and come back. But I'm actually really happy with it. And honestly, once all the curtains are up, you barely see the wall anyways, which I thought was kind of funny. Like I don't want to say I was stressed out about it. I wasn't stressed, but I was like, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to use on the walls, and then like you don't really even see them. Which I just thought that was pretty entertaining. And you can see here, I had to move some stuff around because I loved doing that layering of those curtains. And so I had to actually move the windows around a little bit, and I kind of just did that off camera so you didn't have to watch me do that all over again. Because honestly, like, I feel like that would just be a lot to watch, is just sit there and do that. And at that point, just a second ago, I realized that I was missing items, so I had to go back and place them back. And so now we're actually in the foyer here and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I loved that paranormal wallpaper in here that had the red and gold in it. I felt like that was like really nice in this space. However, it was a lot for all the walls, so I brought that stone in again, and I felt like that would be a nice accent there. And again, even for a foyer, this is huge. Like, I feel like you could just make a tiny home out of this room, which is so funny. I feel like I need to do more tiny homes and like try to do that, because I know I can. I just somehow end up like getting ahead of myself and making these big builds. So also let me know if you do have any build suggestions or things that you want to see on the channel, or things that you feel like you might want to use but like don't have, you know, let me know, because I would like to write those down and do those. And especially if it would be better for you all and give you something to use inside of your game, I would love to hear about that. So anyways, I end up like just making this nice little entrance area with like the bags and all of the like kind of just entrance like stuff, shoes, jackets, like umbrellas, all that kind of good stuff. And the room that I'm actually working on right now is the bedroom. Like I said, it's huge, and I didn't realize how big it was until I started working on it. And I was like, what am I going to do? I put the bed in there and I was like, it's so small. It's so small in comparison to the rest of the room, but I really like the way it came out. It just came out like this really awesome suite. And I very intentionally used those like doorways that look like they're open doors in this space too, because I liked the idea of them being open, so like your sim could like see again out into the landscape and into the backyard from the bedroom. So that's why I use those as well. So if you want to swap those out for actual doors, of course, feel free to do so. But I just, again, like focusing on being able to see that space, I wanted to leave that open. And again, since this is a one bedroom, I figured like, you know, it's only 1 or 2 sims, so it's probably fine for it just to be glass and like and for it to be open, if that makes sense. Although I did not put glass on the door into the bathroom. There's a little bit of glass like at the top, but I was very tempted to use like a glass door, like because that's kind of the open feel I had in the rest of the home. But I did not. I left it as just the plain black door. And I also, when I was in here, I was like, I'll make a little like sitting space. And I love those new bookcases we got with Growing Together. They look so nice. I love them so much. And then I realized like, oh, that's a lot of space and a long seating area. So I ended up making a smaller seating area over there by the bookcases, because I felt like it made a lot more sense. And then actually putting this vanity in, which I feel like I don't use the vanities very often, because although I do larger builds, I feel like my rooms don't necessarily always have room for them. But this room had plenty of room. Like there was plenty of space for that. And then using those lovely chairs we got from Growing Together in this space. And I used the matching couch upstairs in the loft actually. And there is a lot of skill building stuff in this home as well. So we have obviously the pool outside can be used for fitness. We end up having a TV, which you can use for like comedy and all kinds of stuff and cooking. And then you can also, upstairs, I end up putting in an easel and like one of the bonsai trees. So like your sim can work on that. I think they can gain gardening skill from that. There's also a chess table upstairs. So like there's plenty for your sim to do. There's also a telescope, which does that actually give you a skill? I want to say that does give you a skill. It feels like it should if it doesn't, but that's also going to be upstairs. There's also a foosball table upstairs, so there's so much for your sims to do here, and lots of skill building. And of course you can add more stuff. I honestly did not have like a particular occupation in mind when I was making this. Like I wasn't really thinking about that. I just really was focused just on the build itself, if that makes sense. And even this room for the bathroom is really large, but I ended up making this really cool like double walk-in shower over in the corner, which was really nice. And I did try to do this kind of like interesting thing with a platform, which I think you're going to see me try here in a second. It did not work out because because you can see it did something really weird with like some of the architectural details on the outside, and I was like, never mind, because I'm not gonna lie, it took me so long to get everything just right on the outside, so I was like, I don't want to mess it up. So I just kind of instead do this like walled off space and put in some windows in this glass door. And I do end up lowering that like one notch, like the platform, like into the shower, because I thought that'd be really nice. And I do end up like putting some stone in the bottom of the shower as well. And I end up actually using some storage here on the right. So I was thinking about the fact that the toilet was literally right next to this window that's really like right in front of the right in the front of the house, which obviously in real life is not ideal. Like, that's not what you want. At least that's not what I want. And in The Sims, it literally does not matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. However, I still thought about it, and I was like, you know what? We could put a lot of storage right here, and then honestly, you can't really see the toilet at all from the outside. So your sim has some privacy. Again, not that it matters, but, you know, I can't help it, you know? Like, it's just stuff I think about while I'm building. And so I used a bunch of, like, all this lovely clutter, including just toilet paper rolls, because I love that little bit of detail. And then we have double sinks here, one on each side, and then I end up putting like a plant over in the corner to make up for a little bit of that space there. But I think this honestly comes out really well, and then using some of those new towels we got. And I feel like it's such a change of pace to be able to use those instead of the ones I've been using, you know, time and time again. But eventually I will probably, you know, swap back to the other ones once, like I said, once I get it like out of my system and I've used them a lot. But I feel like, you know, I need to do that for a little while. And then I ended up using the Snowy Escape shower in here because I just thought that was lovely. And of course, if, you know, you don't have those packs, you can swap it out for the university one or just like change that out entirely. That's totally up to you. And then this room up here, off of that loft area, is actually going to be the office space. And I thought it'd be really nice to put the chess table by one of the windows so you could like see out while you're like playing chess, and then putting the desk facing out the other way. So I put the window there so you can see straight out into the back landscaping as well. And because I really just wanted that to be a focal point for this build. And I know I've mentioned that so many times, so you definitely know by now, but I like to tell you basically why I made the decisions I made, if that makes sense, especially like if you're trying to build or you want to replicate it or use the ideas or want to know just for curiosity's sake why I do the things that I do. I just like to, you know, talk about those things. And then just putting a little bit of clutter around here on the desk. And I actually really love the way this turned out as well. And again, the idea being that you've got that open door so they can like open and close as well. So like you can have privacy if you want to is the idea. But obviously it's just going to function as a doorway here. And I end up actually using, because I couldn't do the same thing I did downstairs, I combined the Desert Luxe curtains with that curtain from, oh my goodness, high school years. I just blanked out for a second, which I thought looked really cool. And this is the space I was talking about. Again, like I was thinking about that cabin, like they had actually like hanging from the ceiling, like egg chairs. But obviously we don't have those. So I use those instead. So there's like a cute seating area so you can see out like onto like the beautiful landscaping. And then I end up actually also putting a piano up here. I totally forgot about that. So I use the new standing piano, which honestly, I'm so excited about that item because, you know, I haven't been putting pianos in builds because honestly, it's either like the grand piano, which is huge. It's so big, which I mean, in fairness, could probably fit into this house because it's so big. Or it's just like that like electric keyboard, which is not quite the same aesthetically as having like an actual piano, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make this just like a nice cozy like living space so you can hang out and look out. And this is actually where the TV is. So like, I don't know, maybe the downstairs living room is more like the entertaining space. And this is more of a space that like you hang out in if you actually live here maybe. Or just extra space if you're having a giant party or something. And I did kind of have a hard time with the rest of the space here, like what I was going to do with it. I was back and forth. I thought about putting a bar in, but like it just wasn't working out very well, and I just really didn't like the way it looked. And again, just like thinking about the aesthetic of being able to look out everywhere. And so I end up actually putting that foosball table up there, which I thought was really cool. I feel like I don't use that very often. So I thought that was kind of a really cool addition here and gave your Sims something to do. So maybe these Sims like just really like entertaining. So there's plenty for everybody to do stuff here. And I did not record it, but I did end up putting those string lights up there as well in front of those like egg chairs there on like that loft area, which I thought was so cool looking. And then the last thing we're actually going to tackle there is the outside. So there's a telescope out here, so your sim can like stargaze and all that kind of cool stuff. And then I just put an additional seating area, and I end up using that giant plant that I never use, that most people I feel like don't use because it's so big. Like, where are you going to put it? Well, you can put it on this balcony because it is so big, just like the rest of the build. So I just put some more like vegetation out here. Again, just so I feel like a place for your Sims to kind of just hang out. And I use the same like light as I did in the back as well over the pool. But anyways, if you enjoyed this build, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.
Head underwater, falling back into you. I thought we'd be smarter, I got nothing left to lose. You said you fall with me, no matter how far it goes. Down deep and under, we're stuck in this pattern, but I need you close. All I ever wanted was for you to prove me wrong. You're changing our colors again and again. I could never let you go. Something about you feels so different, makes me wanna risk it. Every time I look at you, you pull me back into your river. Swim a little deeper, I don't need to breathe with my head underwater. Don't know the reasons, I'm not sure I really